couple different reasons.
Hello, and welcome to We the Village, produced by Ron Hall, and I am your host, Sharonda Allen. So we have a wonderful guest here today, Mr. Perry Shaw III. Welcome to my show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you were able to make it. So where are you from? What city are you representing today?
I am from the capital city of Trenton, New Jersey.
All right, all right. So what organization do you represent? Because I know you are involved in some really worthy activities here in New Jersey.
Yes, I am the Executive Director of A Better Way, Inc., which is located in Trenton, New Jersey as well.
Excellent. So what does your organization do?
Well, I like to say that we focus on community building. We believe in uplifting, empowering, encouraging individuals in our community. When we first got started, people known us as an organization that worked with individuals who were coming home from incarceration. A lot of brothers and sisters make mistakes, but they shouldn't be judged upon the one mistake they made and have that as a scarlet letter all over their body for the rest of their lives. Our thing is we try to provide training, counseling, different services they may need, assistance with employment. We also offer a food pantry. A lot of times people in certain communities are food insecure. We try to provide nice and healthy food for them and try to provide a pathway of success for them so they don't have to go back to being incarcerated or being, I would say, put in bad situations.
So who are these particular people that you target to serve and to represent? Because I know you're talking about reentry. Who are those particular? What are the demographics of those people, those individuals?
Well, let me first say the fact that I don't like to use the word reentry. I don't believe in reentry.
Okay.
The reason why I don't believe in reentry is because a lot of individuals who have been incarcerated had never been a part of society.
Okay.
They never had the chance to be a part of society. They made mistakes and then they were judged and they had to go and do certain things sometimes. And so for me, I believe in first entry. This is a lot of individuals' first opportunity to get into society, to get a job, to be a tax-paying, productive citizen. And so I'll just say first entry is the way I like to look at the people that I work with. For individuals who have been previously incarcerated, they face a lot of barriers. They're judged, they're stigmatized. Individuals want to look at them differently, but they are our families. They are our brothers, our sisters, our mothers. They are individuals who need an opportunity to provide for themselves and for their families as well. And they shouldn't be judged upon a mistake they made. For me, people need to understand that incarceration is supposed to be three things. It's supposed to be punishment. That's you going to prison for a substantial period of time. Restitution, that's when you pay the fines back that you have to pay for the crimes you committed. The third thing is rehabilitation. That's where I think a lot of prison systems, a lot of organizations fall to the wayside because of the fact we never give an opportunity to individuals to provide and show that they have been rehabilitated. I think once individuals are shown the opportunity or given the time frame to show they have been rehabilitated, society will look at them a lot differently. For us, we work with anybody who needs the services. Some people who have been previously incarcerated, some people who have not. People in need is what we try to provide for.
I think that's beautiful. You talked about first entry, and I've never heard anybody talk about first entry because people are accustomed to people being out, former inmates being reintroduced into society. But I know as a historian that some people have not been trained. I talked to you about sustainability and the work that I do. And if they had been given the proper sustainability initially, I believe they wouldn't even have these problems, or they wouldn't even know how to re-enter because it is a first entry.
Yeah, I agree. You know? For a lot of these individuals who are incarcerated, we got to look at, let's take it even further, the educational aspect. If they're a person who have a learning disability, if they have a mental health issue, if they have different things going on, a lot of times they have been pushed through the school system. They haven't really acquired an education. They haven't really received the services they may need. And that carries on to being a young adult and to being an adult. A lot of times a child may come to a school system and they've been labeled a problem child. And so what's the best thing to do? Either you push them through or either you push them out.
Right.
And instead of providing the services they may need, what happens? We push them out.
Right.
And then they're out in the streets, and then what happens? The wolves get them. And once the wolves got them, it's hard to let them go.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times they're going to that pathway, we're going to become incarcerated. And we have to look at ourselves and look at our children and say, you know what? We're not going to let the wolves get them. We got to protect our children. We got to make sure that they have the services they need to have. We have to be there at the school board meetings. We have to be there checking over schools and making sure that they provide for our kids. Because if we don't, the prison system will keep on getting larger and larger and larger and larger.
Right, and I think part of that is having the right competent leadership in the schools. Because sometimes people have too much of a conflict of interest, and they lose sight of who's doing what's right for the kids.
I agree.
And what is best for the kids.
I agree.
And I think that those failures, those systemic failures, are what cause our young people to get into these situations.
Yeah.
I just want to get back to the rehabilitation part. You talked about 3 things: punishment, restitution, and rehabilitation. I'm not quite sure about what prisons do to rehabilitate folks. I know that when people come out, they come out with a different mentality that is a prison mentality. It's about survival. If they weren't in a gang before, they had to join a gang or some sort of organization in the prison in order to actually survive within the prison. And that survival is not the same type of survival and sustainability in mainstream society. So just, help me a little bit with what rehabilitation is offered in such a hostile environment.
So just give you a little bit of history. My background is mental health and also law enforcement. For several years, almost a decade, I served as a corrections officer for the state of New Jersey. And I've seen the maturation of how things have changed when it comes to rehabilitation. Initially, rehabilitation was very, very far and few in between. A lot of times they would offer programs, but some of the programs would fill up real fast. So if you weren't one of the first people to sign up for a program, you had to wait. And some of the jobs you had could have been a tier sand. And as a tier sanitation worker, all you did was stay on the tier and clean the tier, and that was it. And you got a couple dollars for that a month. And you weren't really given the opportunity to show that you can provide and show that you can be rehabilitated. There's programs now they're offering where individuals can apply for and try and get their high school diploma. You can also get a college degree. But at the same time, there's different classes you can take for anger management and other certifications. There's certifications now that are applied outside of the prison system. Before, some of the certifications they would get wasn't worth the paper they were written on. And people like myself, Brother Ayula, and other brothers made sure that this was supposed to happen the right way. You have legislators, you have people in the assembly, you have our congresswoman now, Bonnie Watson Coleman, who when she was assemblywoman made sure some of these things were getting done. Because what happens is a person goes in prison, they're locked up, they think they're going on the right pathway. When they come home, they find out the time they spent, the certifications they acquired, don't mean a darn thing. And we have to make sure, we have to be consistent. We have to make sure that we talk with parole. We have to make sure we talk with DOC. Right now we have a person who is the acting commissioner for DOC. He worked his way up as a lawyer and worked the DOC, and he understands the rehabilitation aspect. Let's be realistic. You got some people who are in prison right now who should never come home. But you got majority of those individuals who will be home in 2.5 to 3 years. What are we going to do for them when they come home? How are we going to provide services for them when they come home? How are we going to make sure they don't go back? Because most important thing is they're going to come out, but we don't want them to go back. How do we put them on the tax roll so they can be tax providers, not tax takers? Because
recidivism is a major problem.
Yes.
Because of that first entry that they never had. When they come out, they don't know how to survive. So the best thing for them to do is to go back into a system that they are familiar with from early on in their youth, and that too many other people around them have acculturated them into even before they went. And it's been glamorized.
Yeah, and it truly has been glamorized. Let's be realistic. The incarceration rate in New Jersey has gone down. But the recidivism rate has gone up. And that shows the fact that individuals getting incarcerated is one thing, but them returning back is still high because opportunities are not there. When we look at the urban versus suburban areas, we know what happens. We know people are looked upon because of where they live, where they come from, because of their zip code. And let's be realistic. We can't try to solve these problems if we try to dance around them. We have to be direct. We have to be honest. We have to be consistent. We have to say, okay, how can we formulate a plan by bringing individuals together who are like-minded? More importantly, bringing those individuals who are affected by incarceration and also by recidivism. We can't talk about them and not have them included in the solution. And that tends to be the problem over and over again. We want to talk on high instead of trying to talk with and try to help them solve their problems together and listen more importantly than we're doing talking.
Right, and I want to go back to what you said about education. Some of the problems that we have in education, where we look at standardized testing, but we don't look at all the great experiences that kids should have with community service, and not just the typical. I do service learning, and service learning is a little bit more complicated than, hey, we're just going to go do this. You're going to research the information, look into the topic, then do the work that you find is important for that aspect of helping to build your community. And I think some of the biggest problems is that our young people are not given that sense of community in a positive, progressive way, and this is how they end up in these situations.
Civic engagement.
Civic engagement. That is one of the things that my organization is about as well. And I believe in catching, I believe in prevention as opposed to intervention.
Yeah.
Let's cut it off before it grows any further.
Exactly.
Cut that weed.
You have to be able to move in multifaceted ways. You have to think
Yes.
about, like you said, the prevention, intervention, and also trying to figure out, okay, how can we move forward?
Right,
solutions.
solutions.
And a lot of times people don't have the solutions. It's easy to critique and criticize.
Always.
It's harder to try and say, you know what, let me get my hands dirty. Let me come together and work with people who might not agree with me. Let's come up with a solution together.
Right.
Let's figure out, okay, the ins and outs and how we get things moving. Civic engagement is very important. I'll talk about that a little further, about collaborating and getting things done, because without civic engagement, we're stunning our growth. That's the future right there, and the young people.
Too much.
A lot of times they're cast aside and not listened to.
Yes.
And you have to listen to the young people. A lot of times they have the solutions. We got to sit back and be quiet. I know as adults we want to try and tell these young people, you don't know what you're talking about. They do.
They do, and when we give them an opportunity,
They flourish.
they flourish. They say, "Oh, I didn't know I could do that." They look at other demographics doing those things, because they aren't always chosen or paraded around or in the photos. And when I've done those activities with my students, people are like, "How did you get them to do it?" I'm like, they love it.
Exactly.
They enjoy cleaning the community and planting flowers in a spot or whatever. And but the difference is that there are folks who don't appreciate the fact that I'm leading our children into that, because then they will be expected to do more and do better by the kids.
Hold them accountable.
But then, see, you're going to make me start talking about
Hold them
something else. There's that accountability where folks will say, you're making it harder for me, because now people are going to expect me to do this.
Then
and now
step
folks
up.
are trying to go back. I agree.
Then step up. Ain't
I
no
agree.
excuse.
They need to. I agree.
Ain't no excuse. That's when that militant side of me comes out and say, no excuse. These are our kids. These are our future. Because if you don't, once again, the wolves will get them.
And this is why we are going to continue this partnership that we are beginning here.
There you go.
So before I even go any further, let me find out, what other titles do you hold? What other things do you do?
I'm also chairman of something called the Mercer County Reach Task Force.
All right.
That's when we have services providers as far as nonprofits. We also have law enforcement. We have community members who come together and focus on ways and solutions how we can help individuals being previously incarcerated, more importantly, their families. Because a lot of times people think about incarceration, they forget about one thing. When people go to prison or go to jail, they're not going by themselves. They're going with their families, their significant other, their mama, their daddy, their kids. And we got to look at the fact that for recidivism, it's just one aspect of it. We got to look at the fact that children who live in a household where one or more parent is incarcerated, they are 5 times more likely themselves to become incarcerated. Let me repeat that one more time. They are 5 times more likely themselves to become incarcerated. And so we talk about that school to prison pipeline. Oh, it's real. And we don't need to be the ones that's going to feed our kids to that prison, because they have that aspect of them missing that family member, that loved one. They don't understand that aspect.
I think it's a spiral. It's a depressing spiral. And in your work and in your civic activities and your different titles and these commissions, what in your background has brought you to this? What is your educational background and your history of how you came to be a part of being a correctional officer and working with the mayor in the great city of Trenton, New Jersey?
The capital city of Trenton.
I'm sorry, the great capital city of Trenton, New Jersey.
Because Trenton makes, the world takes.
Absolutely. Yes.
So my background, I was lucky enough to grow up in a two-parent household. My father was a law enforcement officer. He served as a sheriff for Mercer County. My mother was in mental health. Growing up, they both were there for me. They showed me the aspect of having a stable home. They loved me. They made sure that I had everything I needed. They made sure I was engaged in sports. A lot of my friends didn't have that stability. And so my household was the household a lot of my friends came to receive that stability of a two-parent household, of a father figure that was there for them, who was going to correct them when they were wrong, and also get them that attaboy when they were right. And so for me to have that stable home life, that helped me to guide me to where I need to be at. Growing up, I went to school not too far from here. I went to Philly-Dixon University.
Okay, nice.
And I was focused on psychology. From there, I got into the field of mental health. That's where I learned the aspect of co-occurring and dual diagnosis of individuals with mental health issues and substance abuse issues, and how that spiral effect got them into incarceration. And then from there, I was going to be a FBI agent.
Oh, and that would have been fun.
Yes, yes. But sometimes they always say, if you want to make God laugh, make a plan. And so for me, I said, okay, my first leap into this will be into corrections. And I said, from there, I will go into FBI. I was in corrections and I saw things that kind of shocked me because of the fact that individuals who were wearing khakis weren't treated like the ones who were wearing blue.
No.
And the fact is that we got to realize just because I'm wearing blue and you're wearing khaki, you're still a human being. My first day up until my last day, each and every inmate that I saw, I referred to them as sir or ma'am. And my first time saying sir, an inmate got mad because of the fact I called him sir. He thought I was saying son.
Oh,
I
goodness.
said, no, I'm calling you sir. And they were shocked because of the fact I gave that respect.
Right.
I don't care what mistake you made. I always say the same thing over and over again. You should never be judged upon your worst day.
Right.
And we've all had bad days, and we were judged upon that. I don't know where we would be.
On our worst day.
Yes.
And you know, that's so interesting because as humans, I think sometimes people have the wrong concept of when they are in a position of authority. And they don't understand that people are still human. But I believe that if that person woke up to live another day, we have to give them that same grace and that same mercy that we've been given from above and not dog them out.
I agree.
And,
I think for me, having that household and also having family members who were either incarcerated or in law enforcement, I was able to have that Thanksgiving dinner with the family members who locked their brothers and sisters up. And the fact was they knew they committed a crime. It is what it is.
Right.
And my education of what's the right thing to do was the household and also the streets, understanding the fact that people make mistakes. While in law enforcement, I was going to, like I said, go into the field of the FBI. I worked in gang intelligence. My background was working with Crips, Bloods, Latin King, Nieta, Maras, 13. Any gang that you can think of, I worked with. Worked with Homeland Security, worked with the FBI, state police, and local police. This was in the height of when Trenton was having a serious gang problem. This was in the early 2000s. Early 2000s.
Late 90s, early 2000s?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
And so doing that, I learned the fact that a lot of individuals, whether they were gang affiliated or not, wanted to come home and do the right thing.
Right.
But they didn't have the equipment, they didn't have the tools, they didn't have the mindset.
Right.
So what I started doing was sitting down with individuals on a tier.
Yes.
And it would be 45 guys, and one guy would come to me and say, Officer Shaw, I'm going home tomorrow. I'm scared. Now, mind you, he's triple OG, he's gang affiliated. He's a big boss, but he don't know what he's going to do when he come home. So I would sit down with them on my tier and put together a IHP. An individual habilitation plan, something I learned in my mental health days. Putting together goals, long-term, short-term, looking at the skills they have, looking at the deficiencies they have, and trying to help them and link them up with services they may need. Okay, what area are you from? Well, I'm from Mercer County, but you live in Union County. Okay, let me see if I can look up and find a location that can provide services for you. And that's what I started doing.
But my problem is, why weren't those mechanisms already in place when it comes to rehabilitation and when it comes to the fact that these people would, quote unquote, have to re-enter, but end up being a first entry into society when, I feel like it's a setup for recidivism.
Let's be realistic.
Why weren't these things in place?
You have great people who are trying to do good things in a correctional facility. You have great social workers, but let's be realistic. One social worker for every 500 inmates.
And that is just like class, teacher to student, class ratio, proportion. There's money for all kinds of things. When folks don't try to make sure that these things are put in place, then this is why we have these deficiencies.
Yeah, and then you look at the other thing. Let's just say you're a person who has never been in a situation that I've been in, and you have no empathy for me. You don't understand where I'm coming from. Why would I open up to you? You don't know me. You're going to judge me. You don't know my situation.
Well, see, the way my aura is set up, folks will open up to me.
Yes, and that's the difference. That's the reason why individuals open up to me, because of the fact they said, you know what, You get where I'm coming from. You're not judging me. You're not putting me down. You're being empathetic to my situation. And that's the most important thing. If you can have a person to be real with you, to be open with you, be honest with you, and then you can go forward. Because if you're not open, if you're not real with me, I can't help you.
Authenticity
I help you.
is an unspoken gift.
There you go.
And that's what it's about.
There you go.
So in your authenticity, who are some of your other collaborating partners in the work that you do?
Well, I collaborate with great brothers like a gentleman by the name of Ayula Sombre. Brother Ayula was the one who had linked me up with other entities that helped A Better Way Out. Getting back to me as an officer, how the transition happened, after we started helping brothers on a tier, I had got hurt on the job. I got hurt. I've been in gang extractions. I've been in riots. Never got hurt that way. I got hurt touring a yard. And I slipped and fell.
Oh my God.
Messed my back up. Got 3 operations. The last time I woke up, the doctor told me, well, whatever you're doing part-time, you should do that full-time because you can no longer be a law enforcement officer. So my FBI plans got crumpled up. I didn't get mad about it because what I was doing part-time was out of my home, helping brothers and sisters get their lives together. And that was where A Better Way was formed. In my house in Trenton, in one of the worst neighborhoods that people say, which is Wilbur section, but to me, it's one of the best parts of Trenton. I love my city and I love my neighborhood. And with that, people started coming to my front door. You had Bloods coming through the back door, Crips coming through the front door, and they would interact. But they knew that my household, my street, my neighborhood, my community was Switzerland. Don't come here with that gang issue problems. If you need services,
neutral territory.
if you need help, come here for the services.
Yes.
And that's what we started doing. Unfortunately, my house got too small because I was serving more people. We had to find a location, and that's where A Better Way was truly formed. We started expanding and providing services like a forklift certified class. Our certification program provides a national certification where an individual comes in before they take our class, they're making minimum wage. When they're done, they're able to go and apply for a job making $15 to $25 an hour. That's called our game changer because the individual feels, you know what, I don't have any skills, how can I get a decent job? As far as collaboration, we collaborate with entities like the City of Trenton. We're collaborating with them right now on a very important project. We also collaborate with the College of New Jersey, Thomas Edison State University, Washington County Community College. We collaborate with the campaign in the New Jim Crow. We collaborate with churches like my home church, Shallow Baptist Church. We also collaborate with Turning Point United Methodist Church as well. We collaborate more with the community. Getting back to the City of Trenton, we're collaborating with them on a project that we were blessed enough to have a great relationship with, and that's Amazon. Maybe about 6 months ago, we had reached out to Amazon. They reached back out to us and they said, you know what, we heard that you guys are doing great things in the City of Trenton. We want to be a partner with A Better Way. And so we said, okay, no problem. And so what that meant was they were donating items to us. Initially, it started off with a pallet full of baby food.
Nice.
And eventually a pallet full of baby food turned into $1.1 million worth of items they have donated to us since August.
Amazon?
Yes, and they said they want to donate double that this year. And so what we did was we partnered with the City of Trenton, partnered with the mayor's office, Mayor Rika Sierra, our mayor, and we said, okay, well, how can we give these items out to people in the community? So we started having giveaways. The giveaways, we give away items in a range of, I would say each time, that value of about $250,000 each time.
Wow.
And we provide services as far as materials, as far as clothes, food, anything you can think of, computers, gaming systems, anything you can think of, whatever Amazon has, and we're talking brand new items.
Wow.
We're talking items that help people and change lives. And that's the most important thing about collaboration, because you can't do everything yourself.
No, you can't.
And we don't believe in trying to take credit for anything. It's about how can we do the most with what we have? How can we help the most people? How can we do the most good?
Best impact.
Best
Optimal
impact, the real impact.
Yeah.
And for us, we make sure that the young people are engaged. They're the ones at the front lines helping out. And for us, civic engagement is very important. We've created multiple programs in the City of Trenton that focus on civic engagement. We help to make sure that young people are employed throughout the entire summer.
Wow.
And what we also focus on is they work 4 days a week, but that one day, oh, guess what? You're doing your civic engagement.
Right.
That means learning about your community. That means about giving back, because giving back is important. They shouldn't have to worry about senior year, oh, I got to do a couple hours community service so I can get into college. No, that should be ingrained in you from day one, from grade one. This is a consistent thing. You should be able to want to give back, not to have to give back. Because you can tell when you go to locations and you see kids who are doing community service because they have to.
Right.
They don't feel it. They don't understand. They can't grasp the concept of what they're doing. We want them to have this instilled, and when they see somebody who come outside from their neighborhood and come throw some trash, they ain't gonna look at them like, say, you know what?
No, we don't do that here.
We ain't doing that.
Yeah.
We ain't doing that.
I took my kids, a group of my kids to Newark, because I do community service in East Orange. We went to Applebee's for breakfast and a movie across the street. They said, oh my God, look how dirty it is around here. I said, I done turned y'all into snobs. I loved it because they became aware of the litter and having more of an ownership of taking care of where they live. If they're going to claim a block, then clean a block.
If you look at the fact that some of the safest places are some of the cleanest places.
Absolutely.
It's not a coincidence.
It's not.
If your area is clean, if your area is safe, you're going to have less crime.
You are.
Because crime goes where? It goes to the dark. It goes to the dark side. It goes to places that are looking bad, that are dirty, and things of that nature. If your neighborhood is clean, if you have people who care about the neighborhood, if people who are educated about how to clean the neighborhood, and about how to maintain the neighborhood.
My PowerPoint,
Yes. And we cannot take that for granted. Some people don't take the time to do things because they're not educated about it. You can't assume people are educated about basic things because sometimes they're not.
They're not. I talk to them about the decomposition rate of certain items, and healthy food initiatives are important too. So, and that's sustainability.
Yes.
In so many aspects of it. So, in my last few minutes, because I could talk to you all day. Oh my God. What are your thoughts on medical marijuana and recreational usage being on the ballot for 2020 and being legalized possibly for 2021?
Well, right now we have multiple recreational marijuana locations where people can acquire marijuana once they have a doctor's note. It was just a few more that were approved last year, and we have about maybe 200 applications right now that are pending, and I think about 25 will be approved. In 2020, we know it's going to be on the ballot. The most important thing is this. I'm glad to see that it's going to be on the ballot, but what I don't want to see happen is the fact that you have people like Assemblyman Holly who have been working on this for a good period of time. And what I like about Assemblyman Holly is the fact that he's focused on not just it being legalized, but also what about the brothers and sisters who are incarcerated right now?
That's what I was going to ask you about.
For marijuana.
Are they going to grant them restitution? Are their records going to be expunged? How do we deal with that, to me, parallel history of those breweries, those dispensaries, and distilleries? That's the parallel. Those black men that was selling homemade hooch, and then these black men that was selling marijuana, and now everybody else is selling everything.
Jim Beam.
It's awful. So I hope that you and I would like to work with you on some legislation on how we can help to what's the word I'm looking for? Leo Bridgewater was on here and he said
Leo, and where's Leo? Where Leo live? He lives in Trenton.
I love Leo. Leo was on my show before, He's a big deal.
Leo is a big deal not only in Trenton but nationally.
Nationally, in the marijuana legalization.
When we talk about marijuana in New Jersey, let's be realistic. Once it's recreational legalized in New Jersey, we're going to leapfrog and become number 2 in the nation.
After Colorado?
No.
Or California.
We're going to leapfrog Colorado. We're going to leapfrog Nevada. New Jersey will be number 2 behind California when it comes to revenue with marijuana. We're going to be in a multi-billion-dollar business. And the fact is, what we have to do as people of color, as people in urban neighborhoods, is we have to catch up.
Yes,
we have to look at the fact that a lot of entities in the area and outside of the area have been waiting for this to happen. They're waiting on this to happen.
And we've
been behind the 8 ball because you know what? We've always been the ones saying, okay, well, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that. We have to look at what's going on in the world, what's going on in society. Because when this becomes legalized, what we don't want to happen is for these dispensaries to pop up in our communities and no revenues going to these communities of color.
And
nobody of color being the ones who are opening these dispensaries. And we have to look at, okay, well, maybe I can't open a dispensary, but what about having a shop that has accessories that goes with the marijuana? What about me opening up a location that delivers the marijuana as well? We have to look and think past certain things. And what Assemblyman Holly has focused on is the fact that if we want to look at a template, look at what Illinois is doing.
Oh, Illinois
is big. January 1st, it became legal. You know what they did? as of January 1st, anybody who had got caught with marijuana under, I do believe, 5 pounds, records were automatically wiped clean.
Expunged.
It wasn't the fact they had to apply for it. It was wiped clean. And so what we're trying to do in New Jersey is do something like that, but they have not gone that far as of yet. What they're trying to do is, okay, well, how can we make sure that individuals get their records wiped clean, but it won't be automatic? In addition, what I like about Assemblyman Holly is the fact that he's focusing on those individuals who have that on their jacket. Once it comes clean, they'll be put to the front of the line along with veterans as well to be able to open and operate a dispensary. Because of the fact is that those individuals have been cast aside for selling a dime bag here, this or that. And they've been told this is a bad thing, but you got people in suburbia who are lighting up right now.
And you know what, Perry? We could do a whole episode on that talking to you.
There you go.
Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Not a problem.
And thank you everyone for tuning in to We the Village.